Welcome back to the channel, you beautiful people. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I know, so positive. Don't worry, it's fake. It's all an act. You are watching this video for two reasons. First reason, you're a returning viewer. Doubt it. But if you are, greatly appreciate it. Second reason, you want to know how I made this level of progress. I level up the rig. And I'm going to tell you exactly that. In today's day and age, it's a bit tricky, isn't it? Which is weird, because we've got all the information out there, but it's just like sensory overload. And everyone's got a voice, thanks to a camera. Everyone's got their opinion, and people like to share it as if it's fact. I think the real problem is there's too many chefs in the kitchen. You've got one there, one there, one there, one there. You're trying to bake a lasagna, but at this rate, you're going to end up with a carrot cake. So in today's video, I'm going to run through the entire process. What I've done to gain that muscle. The skills you need and the action you need to take to achieve similar. I say similar because you won't be able to do exactly what I've done. Because we're different, mate. Different genetics, we're different people. But once you've watched this video, you should be able to go from skinny to jacked in a couple of years' time. And because I've helped you out, and you think, oh, this Luke guy, he's so sound, you're going to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Leave whatever comment you want, mate. Because I'm a social media genius, I found out more comments better the video does, so like, comment jam sandwich if you want to. I'll appreciate it. Anyway, I need to start my coaching work. I need to get through this morning's work block, get all check-ins done, so that's exactly what I'm going to do, mate. So come along and join me in the office, mate. Smooth that, mate, wasn't it? We're now in the office. For those who do watch the channel regularly, I really do appreciate you, but you all know I'm a full-time online coach. People who are viewing the channel for the first time, you now know. Now, some of you might know what that is. It's getting popular nowadays. Other people might not be too sure. Might sound like a made-up thing. Well, mate, what it is always hits so good. What it is a service I provide. Now, this service allows people to achieve their physique goal. In short, we use an app to collect all data that is needed when looking to level up your physique. And all my clients also have me on WhatsApp. We love a chit chat. Now, the way this works is every single day they use their app to collect the data I'm requesting. Once a week, we have a weekly check-in where I record a screen recording. I know, very snazzy, mate. We run through that data, make adjustments if needed, just so we can make sure every single week is spent moving towards the goal. And then, of course, throughout the week, whenever they need me, they can drop me a message on WhatsApp. Any questions, any updates, or if they just want a bit of a chit-chat, I'm there. That's what I do, mate. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now in work block number 1. I'm going to work through check-ins. So I'm going to get this done and then pre-workout meal, and then head into the gym for upper today. Full session run through a bit later in the video. All check-ins are now done. I've had my pre-workout meal, I've had my pre-workout shower. Highly recommend doing that, by the way. Now I'm ready to train. Pre-workout in this one. Focus, there we go. EA's in this one, because I'm just going to neck it to spike MPS. And I've just got some summer fruits, mate, in this bottle. 3 drinks. We take it seriously over here. Earlier in the video, I talk about a full up session walkthrough. I've done that session yesterday. I'm actually in for the legs today, but I'll go through the session when I'm back. It's nice not to film a session. I post daily on Instagram, daily on YouTube Shorts, weekly YouTube video. So I feel like this thing's always with me, but sometimes it's nice not to have it. To just go into the gymnasium on my own, stim myself up, and just focus on the session itself. Now in this video, I said I was going to give you some tips on getting wham. So here's the first one. Don't take the piss when it comes down to the calorie surplus you put yourself in. We all know you need to be in a calorie surplus. It's just the basic coaching advice, isn't it? Want to build muscle? Be in a surplus. Want to lose fat? Be in a deficit. It's boring, mate. So let's get a bit more technical. Of course we need to be in a surplus. This is going to allow us to gain weight and move our training performance in the right direction, which ultimately is going to allow us to gain some muscle. However, the process of gaining muscle is a slow one. If you put yourself in a massive surplus, you're just going to get fat very, very quickly and run into a lot of problems. A proper growth phase isn't the case of eat as much as possible. It's a case of progressing your training for as long as possible alongside driving that scale weight up. I'm not a, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to start like that. I'm not someone who works off a rate of gain framework. Reason being, everyone is different. It's a very common question, what's the best rate of gain? There isn't one. Everyone is different. Some people can be pretty aggressive with their rate of gain and look awesome. Other people would take the same approach and look like a fat mess very, very quickly. So it's person dependent. But if I was to put a number on it, if you had a gun to my head and you said, oi, you better give me a number here, 1% of total body weight per week, you'd probably be alright with that. But like I said, it is very person dependent. Quick scenery change. Just had to let the big man out in the garden for his little run around. Rapid that dog. Zoomies. They're serious. Any French bulldog / bulldog owners will know about it. Wait, do bulldogs get it? I don't know. He's a cross, mate. Miniature bulldog, Frenchie and British bulldog. Anyway, we were talking about a calorie surplus. So of course we're talking about food here. Just want to add this in because it's unbelievably important. The food sources you use matter. Oh my God. Can't believe it. Can you? Let's use an example. Let's say we've got 2 meals and they're 800 calories each. And it's going to be our pre-workout meal. One bowl is full of ice cream and cookies. The other bowl is full of oats, raisins, banana, whey protein, dark chocolate. What do you think is going to be the better option? What's going to digest better? What's going to allow us to perform better? What's better from a macronutrient standpoint? Come on, mate, you know it. You know it. Yes. The oats. These calorie comparison videos melt my brain. I see them on Instagram a lot. Here's a healthy meal.
Or a bowl of ice cream, but it's the same calories.
So please, if you are in your off season, or any phase for that matter, remember the quality of the foods you eat are really important. A calorie isn't a calorie. All foods aren't equal. Got it? Good. So when you're in your growth phase, you're not just going to slam a loads of McDonald's because it's high calories. Your diet's going to be on point from a macro and micronutrient standpoint. If you do that, and you follow a good rate of gain, you're off to a good start, but there's a lot more to it than that. I'll explain later in the video, but I've got to go gym, mate. Let's get into the training part of the video. I'm a bit worried, I must admit. New microphone on this, always reinvesting back into the channel. And when I turn it on, normally it just flicks red. This morning it's just stayed red. So I'm looking at the bars and I'm really hoping it doesn't cut out on me. But anyway, let's get into it. So when it comes down to this video, we're talking about how to gain muscle. We're talking about ramification. Very important if you ask me. Now when it comes down to these phases, growth phases, bulking, you might call it massing if you're a right weirdo. Training will underpin your progress. Training is everything. The reason you've put yourself in a surplus, the reason you're prioritizing the sleep, the reason you're managing your stress, the reason you're taking certain supplementation is to progress your training forward. Training allows us to stimulate that growth, and then when we recover, we're chilling out outside the gym. That's when the growth happens. If you're not training with accuracy, intensity, and progressing things over time, you're not going to gain any muscle. Let that sink in. I see far too many people go into growth phases. They do everything wrong. They're just eating a load of food. Nothing's tracked. They're just thinking more's better. They go into the gym. They're just getting a bit of a pump. They're talking to their mates. They're scrolling on the phone. They're not getting stronger. And surprise, surprise, at the end of that phase, they've just got fat. Great time. Now, when it comes down to your training, first things first, you need the correct training split. A lot of people go, oh, training split's not important. It's not magic. It really is, to be fair. Because at the end of the day, your training split needs to meet your needs. Now, for 99.9% of people, me included, the goal is systemic growth. Grow everywhere. Don't be one of these muppets that has just started training and goes, my chest is lagging, my arms are lagging a bit. You've just started training, everything's lagging, you haven't got much muscle. So for the first, to be fair, it depends how much of a freak you are, but I'm 4 years deep into this and my goal's still systemic growth, okay? So for a long time, you want to be growing everywhere. Now when it comes down to training splits, you can package many in different ways, but for most people, to keep it super basic, upper lower is going to be your best friend here. It's going to work wonders, mate, if you program it right. Of course, not all upper logos are programmed the same. Not everything's built the same, but for the most part, this structure is going to allow you to make a lot of progress. Let me sip my monster, mate, before I hit you with more knowledge. Also, on this row, mate, I've got some serious glutes, mate. Big bunda. Anyway, now we've got that split in place that meets your needs. The next thing we need to do is make sure your training is on point, okay? We need to make sure we're standardizing our setups. We need to make sure we're standardizing our execution. And we need to make sure we're training with sufficient intensity. So every time we use a machine, it's the same setup, alignment's the same. Every time we perform the exercise, we're working through the same range. And we're pushing it close to failure. We're seeing concentrics slow down involuntarily. So as you can see on this movement, initially, reps were quite quick and they progressively slowed down. I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm not doing that for a laugh. They're slowing down thanks to a slowed contraction velocity. If you do not see this happen, you're not training effectively. Full stop. Alongside this, we need to progress things over time. Now, there's many ways we can do this. There's many ways to skin a cat, very weird saying. A very popular one is focus on getting stronger over time within program rep ranges. How does that look on the day-to-day? Well, you'll have a logbook, so you're tracking your lifts, so every time you go into the gym, you know what you're aiming to be. You'll look to increase weight and match reps where possible. You can look to increase reps while keeping the weight the same when possible. Or, if everything's perfect on the day, you can increase weight and beat the reps you got last time. What will dictate that? Your performance that day. Of course, we're always performing things close to failure, so the intensity is standardised. So when you do actually take that progression, it's true progression. It's not like last week you were being a bit of a bitch and this week you're actually training hard. You're training hard all the time. So if you do get that progression, it's because you've been able to actually extend the set through producing more force. Awesome. That's one way. Another way, still training close to failure, because we still need concentrics to slow down involuntarily, but we can also escalate the volume we're doing through more sets. So week one of the training plan might be 2 working sets. Week 2, escalate it to 3. Third week, escalate it to 4, potentially. And then at some point, you're going to hit a brick wall where you need to rest. You've accumulated too much fatigue, you're no longer recovering, you're no longer performing, so you need 4, maybe 7 days off from training, then you can get back into it. If you've never needed a deload before, you just haven't been training hard enough. Full stop. Now, it's super important to understand we are just trying to do more. That's why both models work. More weight, more reps, or doing more sets. You are simply exposing the muscle to more stimulus, so you are going to grow. Sorted. That is training on a very basic level. Now, when it comes down to rep ranges, hopefully no TikTok warriors are watching this. They're really not that important, to be honest. Between 6 and 20 is where I can find myself. It all works. You need to take into consideration the movement pattern itself. Like, would I do a 20 rep hack squat set? No, because I'm probably going to hit failure on rep number 15 thanks to not being able to breathe, so I'm going to work in a lower rep range. But would I do a 6 rep bicep curl? No, because I'll probably tear something. So you need to be smart when it comes down to the rep ranges you work in, depending on exercise. But it all works, so I don't get wrapped up into that rep range game because it's a bit of a weird one. Showing off my small body there. Absolutely love that. Now, we spoke about energy balance, calorie surplus, and food. We've spoken about training. Now it's time to talk about 2 more things: recovery and body composition. So when it comes down to training, when we're in the gym, we're getting the stimulus. When we recover, that's where we grow. It's almost like training is the signal for growth and your recovery is where it actually happens. So when it comes down to recovery, of course nutrition is addressed. Our caloric needs are being met. Now we need to make sure our sleep's the best it possibly can be, and we need to make sure we're managing our stress well. When it comes down to sleep, we do need to keep in mind we have influence over it, not control. Okay, so it's the most powerful variable we have, and we can influence it, but we can't control it. You might have been there, mate, if you're dialed in like myself. Your routine's on point, your supplementation's on point, but you still have a bad night's sleep. It's just one of those things. But make sure we're doing everything we can to get our sleep in the best spot possible, because it's going to help us massively. It's a net positive when it comes down to training performance, hunger signaling, digestive function, cognitive function. So it's really important we try our best to get in the best spot possible. Super simple things: consistent sleep time and wake time helps massively with circadian rhythm. Caffeine, it's got a half-life. I recommend cutting out by around 2. A lot of people are very particular with a number, but we do need to understand that everyone does metabolize it at different rates. I know freaks, mate, that can have a pre-workout at 6 p.m. and sleep amazingly well. I wouldn't recommend it, but some people can do it. But yeah, pull it back away from the sleeping window as much as possible. Another thing, just a good evening routine. Have something consistent that allows you to relax, switch off, chill out. Next thing, stress management. Now, let's face it, we live in the modern day world. I know no one who lives stress-free. We've all got something to stress about. And that's fine. We actually need a stress response. If we didn't need it, we wouldn't have it. But just make sure you're managing it. For example, a lot of the lads on the team work very demanding jobs. They're probably quite stressed out at work, but it's not an issue as long as when they're back from work, they've got ways of managing it and switching it off. It's only a problem if you're stressed from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed and there's no management in place. That's where it becomes chronic. And cortisol is not a physique's best friend. It will ruin it if you're exposed to high amounts of it all the time. Final point, body comp. Now when it comes down to a growth phase, of course, you're increasing your scale weight over time. Yes, muscle's going to come onto the frame, but so is adipose tissue, body fat, mate. And if you start a bit soft, you're just going to get fat quickly and you're going to need to diet down sooner. We want to spend as much time in the growth phase as possible. The more time we spend, the more muscle we get. We don't want to need to keep dieting down. So you need to start in a good spot body comp wise. You don't need to be shredded. I'm not going to put a body fat percentage on it because I don't work off percentages. I think they're nonsense. You can't track it accurately. Yes, those cheap scales you bought, mate, that sends a laser through one foot to the other, ain't telling you the actual stats. But I digress. Just make sure you're fairly lean so you have a long runway for progression. You can drive scale it up for a long time without getting too fat. And also when you start in a lean position, you're much more responsive to any calorie adjustments. It's a win-win. Description of this video, I'm going to type out a little summary, breaking everything down step by step, just in case this video was hard to follow. But use that, mate. You can't really go wrong. Now, you might have a question. You might see these photos and think, were any PEDs used? And yes, they were. But I'm not going to go through it on this video. Reason being, I don't know who's watching it. And I don't want someone to take that on board and go, oh, I'm going to go and do that. However, if you do have any questions regarding that, head over to Instagram, drop me a DM, and I'm more than happy to talk about it. That's the video. Remember to like, subscribe, comment if you're feeling dangerous. Of course, I do run a coaching service. If you're looking to level up your physique, send me a DM. I can send you the service outline video, which covers how the service runs, cost of investment. We can then jump on a call, and if the service is suitable, we can get the ball rolling from there. But I'm gonna stop talking and continue with some work, mate.